How much money do you think you need to retire for good? Everyone has his own number, but we can agree that a few billion dollars is enough for almost anyone to live the rest of his life as a king. Becoming a billionaire is not a joke. Only 2,800 could become out of almost 80 billion that inhabit this planet. But I have some good news for you. We are in the middle of the greatest wealth transfer in history. $30 trillion is about to change hands from baby boomers to the next generation. And guess what? You and I and everyone else who is watching this video has the opportunity to get the tiny slice of that $30 trillion. Even the 0.1% of that amount equals dozens of billions. Watch carefully because you have about to learn how to benefit from the greatest wealth transfer in history. But before we get into that, we have to understand how baby boomers became so wealthy in the first place. Back in the 1930s, the United States was just another country, not even close to the superpower in the now. In fact, it was such a big financial crisis that it was named the Great Depressions. It lasted 10 years and almost destroyed the entire economy. And the only way the United States got out that crisis is through World War II. World War II was, of course, the most horrible things ever happened to human history, but it also caused the greatest wealth transfer in history. When European and the rest of the world were trying to destroy each other, suppliers were limited, so the Allies turned to the United States to fill the gap. Since it was directly involved in the war, it wasn't directly involved in the war and had the economic power to do that. US farmers and factories could produce as much wheat and equipment as they could had easily sell them to the Allies for the highest possible price, since troops and battlefield were ready to take any measures to win the war. When the war ended in the 1945, the entire world was destroyed, but the United States emerged as a superpower. Since the last 5 years. It was literally supplying the entire world with everything. In fact, 75% of the world's gold reserves ended up in the United States since its times of the war. Paper currencies usually hold on value, but that was just the beginning. After the war, the demand for American goods, equipment, and um, services didn't fall, since Europe had to build back its infrastructure and get the economics running again. And in return, US companies made fortunes. That's how baby boomers, the generation of the people born after World War II, became the richest generation in history. But they are getting old and dying, and are expert of the transfer 30 trillion in wealth to younger generations over the next decade. Of course, most of this wealth tied up in the hands of the top 1%, and it will be passed down to their kids, which is true, but sites show that two-thirds of businesses that are passed to their children failed, and only a small fraction makes it to the third generation, which means most of that $30 trillion will be passed away to whoever can take it. Take the richest man in the American history, John Rockefeller. He had an estimated net worth of the $400 billion adjusted to inflation, but the Rockefeller family today has a net worth around $11 billion, because with every new technology or the changes came the new wave of the innovations that transforms the certain industry to the entire world, and transfers wealth from one group to another, as it was with the internet, for example. Whoever wrote that wave ended up making the fortune. Take YouTube, for example. For decades, cable news was the only choice to watch your favorite show or news. When YouTube emerged, not everyone jumped on the boat immediately, but this new technology transformed the industry and pushes most cable TV views to YouTube. All that money that is supposed to be sent on TV ads in the now spent on the YouTube ads. Many cable TV channels went bankrupt as a result of that. But on the other side, people made fortunes riding this news wave. In of innovations, like Philip DeFranco, PewDiePie, or the MKBHD. People even made their fortunes by uploading fake pranks, fake pictures, reviewing toys, or even the cat videos. Of course, it is still possible to make it on YouTube, but it's not easy as it was back then. In the 1990s, the dot-com revolution happened where the people made their fortunes just by building the websites, even if the website was totally useless. The point is, wealth changed hands when the new wave of innovations changed the certain industry. So if we want to find out who will get the biggest portion of that $32 million, we have to find out what is the next big waves. They are certainly going to be many, but here's at least two of them. Blockchain, don't worry, I'm not trying to sell you anything. And please ignore all the comments under this video that are trying to sell you anything related to the crypto, because they are the most likely trying to rip you off. So please don't tell me that I didn't warn you. Harvin said, having said that, we can move on. Blockchain is now where the internet was 2002-2003. It has its astronomical rise back in 2017 and crashed, but we will find out the true benefit of its technology in the 10 or 20 years. But theoretically, it does not only has the potential to change the financial industry, but pretty much every other industry. Back in 2000s, the most people couldn't have imagined that the internet would be 20 years, and yet here we are. Our lives depends on the internet. We can't go into the details of how blockchain works. But it's easy to imagine how the world of the businesses will be running on the smart contracts. For example, if you could go back into the time 2000s, that business would you start? Most certainly as the internet company, because the last 20 years were the golden era for the internet, and blockchain is about to have its own gold period. I'm warning you again, there are too many scammers in this industry as it was with the internet back in 2000s. Please don't research and understand the risk before you go invest in that first field. And most importantly, don't believe in the single comments in the YouTube sections that will tell you that they have made fortunes trading cryptos. Back in the 1870s, when oil was just discovered, it was as valuable as it is today, since gas oil cars were not invented yet. But John Rockefeller decided to take advantage of his new wave of the change. He started his oil refiner and slowly started buying his competitors. And as the demand for oil grew, especially with the investors of the automobile, his wealth grew accordingly to the point where he became the richest American to ever live. But the world is moving again to the new score of the energy, not only because the world is running out of the oil, but if we don't move to renewable energy, the world is going to face the climate disaster. Since have warned, the world is on the way to warm by the 3 degrees, which could put many cities underwater. That's why China, for example, already banned gas and diesels in the new car market, and has a plan to ban all gas and diesel cars to 2035. Many other countries have already taken similar steps. In the next 10 years, the world will rapidly transitions to the new source of energy, and whoever will try this the new wave of the change has the opportunity to make the fortune. Of course, Elon Musk is going to be the modern day Rothschild. In fact, for the first time in American history, there will be someone who is going to be wealthier than John Rockefeller. Nevertheless, he won't be able to own the entire market, which means others will have the chance to get the slice of the wave as well. 2020 hasn't been an easy year, not only because we went through the global pandemic, but the entire world faced the global recessions. And when the economy hits its bottom line, it moves to the expansion period and starts growing again. And it seems like we are in the middle of that transactions, which means in the next 3.5 even 10 years the economy will most likely keep growing. The competition for the enormous transfer of the wealth is going to fires. Even though this wealth is primarily located in the United States, the entire world will try to get it. Although the internet has turned the planet into the global village, most of the world still don't have access to the internet, but that is about to change when Starlink will finally be ready. Elon Musk wants to send 42,000 satellites to space to make the high internet connection acceptable to every corner of the world. And when that happens, another 4 billion people will have the chance to get a slice of that enormous wealth transfer. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Make sure you give this thumbs up, and if you're already new around here, hit the subscribe button and the bell besides it. Thanks for watching, and until next time.